All right, everybody. Hopefully you're already super excited about today. We're going to continue with yet another incredible sponsor. Hazel Savage is going to be joining us. She is the CEO of artificial intelligence music company Musiio, and she's going to talk to you all about that platform and AI in music. I will let her hop to it. So without further ado, welcome, Hazel.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. How's it going so far? Everyone having a good time? I just realized no one can really reply to me. I'm the only person here. But thank you so much and great to be here. I'm currently based in the UK and I know we've got people from all over the world, so welcome. So I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about Musiio. We've got one of our developers helping out at the hackathon tomorrow evening or tomorrow daytime as well. So there'll be a little bit of Musiio all over the place. For those people who don't know us, I describe us as an artificial intelligence company for the music industry. But what that really means is that's just a fancy way of saying we're a data processing company. So those who haven't heard of us, I am British, but we started in Singapore. We currently have offices in both the UK and Singapore. And I figured the best way to kind of explain to everyone what we do, the way I love to share it with everyone, is to basically sort of give you a little road test of the technology, a little live demo. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. Hopefully everyone can see musiio.com in front of them. Can I get a thumbs up from somebody if you're able to see my screen?
Looking good.
Oh, thank you so much. Brilliant. There you go. A little bit of tech help. So as I said, what we're doing is we're processing audio. And what makes this a little bit different to a lot of the other AI companies out there that you might have heard of is we're not sort of pulling data from Spotify, we're not pulling data from Facebook and kind of aggregating those numbers. What we're doing is we're performing artificial intelligence transforms on the audio files themselves. So we take actual MP3s, actual WAVs, we drop them into our AI, we fingerprint them, and we're able to generate insights, a lot of insights about the audio based on the track itself. And we do this to the tune of about 1 million tracks a day currently across all of our clients all over the world. And, you know, there are a lot of songs being uploaded to platforms every day. So this is where we help out. Nobody could possibly humanly listen to all of that music. And what we've done is we've kind of turned it into a product. So we have a tagging product, we have a search product, and we have a playlisting product. And they're all available to demo on our website. So we built these using our own APIs, and this is our tag product. So what you can do is you can drop in a YouTube or a SoundCloud link. You can upload an MP3 if you're an artist. We don't ever have to have seen the audio before. I'm just going to go with demo track so I can show you it while we're chatting. And what's happening here is it's a YouTube link. We're fingerprinting the audio. We're running it through the AI, and we're generating these tags, these insights based on the audio file. So you can see this is a Billie Eilish track. The artist and title is pulled from YouTube, but everything else is AI generated. So you can see the first thing is content type. So we've identified that this is music. No big surprise there, but we're also able to identify whether something is spoken word, a sound effect, a drone, ambient noise, unknown. Basically, we have a lot of clients with different types of audio. So it's great to be able to sort out what is music from what is not music. And then we have genre. So this has come back with indie-tronica and indie, with 73% indie-tronica, 45% indie. That percentage is how confident the AI is that that tag is correct. So it's not like a genetic makeup. Obviously, it adds up to more than 100%, but it's how confident the AI is. And that lets our customers play with the data as well. So for example, maybe they want everything over 50% to be a genre, everything under 50% to be a subgenre. Maybe anything under 40% they don't want to show, or maybe they want to put it in a different column or hide that data, but allow it to be searched on. So the percentage gives our clients a lot of control over their own data. We have an energy spectrum and variance. We have moods, we have an emotion spectrum, we have instruments, and then you see this sentence at the bottom as well. Everything here in bold is also a tag. So that there's a high presence of vocal as opposed to instrumental. It's a female vocal. The track quality is high quality. That's the recording quality. It's in F sharp minor, and it's 120 beats per minute. And it doesn't vary much across the life of the track. So consistent BPM. And a great use case context, or if you were building a playlist for a party or for vlogging, this would be a great suggestion for that playlist. So we're able to generate, as you see, anywhere between 10 and 20 pieces of metadata per track. We don't ever need to have seen the track before. It doesn't have to be in English. It can be user generated. So feel free to drop anything you like into this demo. Give us a try, see what you like, see what results come back. If you're interested in everything that we're able to tag, if you go to our taxonomy page, you can take a look at everything we're able to tag. You can hover over, and if you click, you'll also be able to hear an example of what we consider to typify this particular genre or one of the other tags. So that's kind of our tagging product. And then the second thing I would love to show you all, which is even more closely tied to what we're doing with the hackathon tomorrow, is our search technology. So again, it's using that same core AI technology, but just in a slightly different way. So what we've also got on our website here, and we built this using our own search API, is two of our clients. So Hypnosis use our search technology, as do a company called Melody. Hypnosis is a commercial catalog, so we've got that here under this tab. Melody is a production music catalog, so we have this under a separate tab. So when we say commercial, we mean top 40 hits, artists you would recognize. Production music is kind of more like you'd use it on YouTube videos, or you'd use it for user generated content, you know, if you just need a music bed for a TV show, that sort of thing. And what we're going to do here is we're going to drop in another link. I'm going to choose one of my favorite artists. Apologies for anyone who is or isn't a fan. So I just dropped in a Bon Jovi track. And what we're going to do is we're going to fingerprint this track in much the same way we did for tagging. But rather than a list of tags, we're going to show the closest matches in the Hypnosis catalog. So which fingerprints are the closest in match? And there are 60,000 songs in the Hypnosis catalog. So as you can see, here's our list of results. I did cheat slightly because I do know this catalog, and I knew they already had Bon Jovi in there. So it's a good, fun example to use. But you can see we're now seeing 1 to 100 of 2,629 matches, which is kind of cool. We've reduced 60,000 down to 2.6, but that's still a lot of tracks. Probably still wouldn't want to listen to all of those directly. So what about if I'm like, well, I was searching Bon Jovi, so kind of only show me male vocalists, don't show me any female vocalists. Based on the BPM, I would like to narrow the field. I want to make it, sort of within a much narrower range. Okay, so now you can see I've already narrowed it down to 758 matches. And maybe I could narrow it down further if I wanted to add in more filters, more mood filters, but I'm okay with that for now. And, as I go through, I can see the Bon Jovi, It's My Life. We've got the Outfield, great classic rock band, big fan. We've got some more Bon Jovi, some Scott Stapp. We've got some Tim McGraw, so that's a little bit country themed, but we've got some Chris Cornell, some Rob Thomas, and some Journey, some Neil Young. So you see, as we go through, I'm finding a lot of tracks that if I was building a playlist based on, Bon Jovi's It's My Life, I'd feel pretty strongly about this. But, what about if I say, oh, you know what, this Journey track this is exactly what I'm looking for. So I now click this Find Similar button, and the Journey track jumps to the top, and I now have a list of different songs. So Journey, another classic rock band, but a little bit more polish, a little bit sort of more synth-based, a little bit more pop than Bon Jovi, I would say. So you can see here that the results are different. We have some that are similar, but we've also got some different artists. We've got some of the Pretenders showing up. We've got some Jeff Scott. We've got some Josh Thomas, the Long Riders. So you can see we're mixing it up, but we are getting a lot of Bon Jovi back as well, because I think these two artists do go really well together. So as you scroll through, you can start to see a little bit of Blondie. I like that one. And, as you go through, you can actually, I'm not going to do it on this call, but you can click and play these tracks so you can hear the audible similarity. It's just not such a great experience on a screen share. But by all means, this demo is free to use, so anyone can try it. And it's the search API that we've given access to for the hackathon tomorrow. So we're also excited to see what other people are going to build with this technology. But there's a lot of big music companies out there already using this. And as you see, what I think is powerful about the fingerprint search versus the alternative is, if I just type in rock to this catalog, you see I get some of the stuff showing up. We've got Hootie and the Blowfish, Red Hot Chili Peppers, you know, rock artists, but very, very different to the classic rock that I was just searching. So my theory is that AI is actually a more powerful search tool than just words alone, because words alone and the genres we have, even though Musiio can identify 83 genres, they're not granular enough. And that actually, if you identify the features using artificial intelligence and you match the fingerprints to each other rather than just the words, then you can get much, much closer matches. So that's kind of a little bit about what we do at Musiio. That's kind of just a whistle stop tour. Usually at this point, I would say, does anyone have any questions, or does anyone want to ask me anything? I see there are a bunch of questions in the chat. I would ask the team at Made for Measure, what's the best way to handle the questions?
I can help you out with that. Let's start with the first one, Hazel.
Perfect, thank you.
Here, does AI have speech recognition? Because lyrical content can be indicative of genre and mood.
Great question. And my clients ask me this a lot. So the way that the Musiio technology actually works is we take the track as a whole. So we just take the sound of the whole track. And what we do there is we basically analyze the lyrics as an integral part. What we're not doing, although this is where I think AI technology is going next, is building, you know, voice to text is quite a strong technology, but sing to text is not there at all. And I think that's because there are so many different ways you could sing a word that the data set, the scale just isn't there to be able to build it yet. So usually what we do if a client asks about lyrical content to determine mood and message is we partner with one of the great lyric companies like Lyric Find, for example. They already have the lyrics. So the hard part is getting an AI to be able to say what they are, but there are companies out there that already have the lyrics, and then we can perform sentiment analysis, or we can partner with them. We have a kind of a fun project, this a little bit secret. I've got a project going with them at the minute. We're going to build what we call a juxtaposition playlist. So we're going to run sentiment analysis on lyrics and sentiment analysis on the audio, and then we're going to find all the instances where they don't match. You know, where the lyrics say the opposite to the music. Something like the famous example is like Foster the People, Pumped Up Kicks, super happy sounding song, super upbeat, lyrics very dark about a school shooting. And so we're going to try and put together a whole playlist of that type of music. So yeah, this is where we like to partner with other people.
Amazing. That I love that idea. So there's so many questions coming in. Let's see. Next one, let's talk about so question from Miriam. Does the Musiio AI have issues distinguishing between male and female vocals if the vocals are heavily distorted?
Great question. So actually, this is something we think about a lot, and that we work on all the time. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but within the Musiio tagging demo, we say sounds like male or sounds like female, because really what the AI is doing, it's identifying things within a certain pitch, within a certain range. And, you know, it may well be that a very low register female singer it sounds male. In fact, one of my favorite examples is when Justin Bieber first started releasing and recording music. He was like 12, 13 years old. And the AI is not able to distinguish between 12-year-old Justin Bieber and a female sounding vocal. So early Justin Bieber will show up as sounds like female because the AI doesn't have the context that he is a man. And so interestingly, we are trying to work with some clients about how we present that data, because of course we aren't actually capturing non-binary individuals or transgender individuals. And it's obviously never the case that we wish to disrespect or misgender someone with our technology. So really all we're doing is we're identifying at which register the audio exists. And so there are other ways to interpret that data, high register voice, low register voice, without bringing gender into it at all. But yeah, this is something that we're actively working on, and we work directly with our clients. Oh, I think you're on
I
Oh, there you
am.
go.
There we go. I love that you guys are really thinking about diversity and inclusion when it comes to music metadata, because that's something that is often overlooked. We have a flurry of questions here, Hazel, so I'm just going to keep going here. How does this work with specific music markets? Christian says, I work, for example, within the classical music industry and wonder how this tool could help us in our very specific genre.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do work with specific genres, and we do work with specific countries and languages that are sort of outside of Western music. So one of our big clients that we just announced in the last week is based in Thailand. Almost all of their content is in Thai. Our tagging API is language agnostic, as is the search. You know, if you search one type of song, it will find a similar fingerprint. It doesn't matter if we know or understand that type of music, the technology still works. Classical is an interesting use case though, because I would say, although we have 83 genres, we're not super deep on classical music recognition, as in we can recognize classical, we can recognize opera, we can recognize instrumental, and that's about as extensive as it gets. We're a little bit deeper on, say, electronic music, and we're a little bit deeper on, say, the subgenres of rock and pop, say J-pop, J-rock, stuff like that. But what I would say is if you wanted to try it, you can certainly drop a couple of tracks in our tag demo at Musiio.com and see what comes back, because it might be that, you know, the classical genre, but the BPM, the key, and the other instrumentation tags are more interesting than just the straightforward genre. So you can always give it a test and see if it works for you.
Amazing. Another question here. Someone says, Peter, he says, this would be great for radio playlisting as well if you need to be more specific with regards to mood or genre, etc. Do you have a particular application people have use the app for with regards to radio?
So we do have radio clients. We have a sort of a dashboard that our clients can log into. So I tend not to think of it as radio versus other parts of the industry. I tend to think of it as a bit more our clients who want to do curation. So clients we have who have a large database of music, who want to build playlists or search or recommendation. So for sync, for radio, for streaming, whatever that use case is, we can drop a whole bunch of tracks into our standard interface, and then you can generate and create playlists within that. So that's another one of our products. I could give a more detailed demo about that if you wanted to set up a call. We've got a contact form on Musiio's website, but it's essentially the same technology as the search app, but it's a private login.
Great. I love this question because anyone that's used music data in the past has probably started off with the specific API, and this is a fun question because of that. Frank asks, can this match up with the ultra specific genre tags in the Spotify API, like Brooklyn indie pop?
That is a great question. And the short answer is no. But the slightly longer answer is when we built our technology, we tried to make it work for as many clients as possible. And whereas, yes, Spotify kind of is the market leader in a streaming space, we didn't want to rule out our customers that use Apple, our customers that use Amazon, our customers that use SoundCloud. So we didn't sort of stick slavishly to someone else's definitions. What we do have is documentation where we map which of our genres fall under, but it's also more complicated. As I say, we only have 83 genres. I think Apple have somewhere like 800. So, but what they'll do is, you know, we'll have country as a tag, and then they'll have another 50 subgenres of country. And it may well be that country or Americana plus bluegrass, which we have, is enough, or it may not be. So it really depends on your use case, but we don't stick to any one particular streaming service. We generate data that we think is the best and the most applicable to as many platforms as possible, so that, you know, we're not sort of hooking our wagon to just one streaming service.
Oh, great. That makes total sense. There's a lot out there. Trying to make it match the ones is definitely very challenging. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Have you thought about how to reconcile cultural differences about what emotions certain chords progressions correspond to in different countries? It's not always universal, perhaps.
Yeah, very, very true. And we have some clients in India, and we have some clients in the Middle East, and also in a couple of different countries in Africa where this is the case. And what we always offer to do with any client as we onboard them is we'll offer to tag like 1,000 tracks for free. And we'll say, let's tag a sample of like your best data, your national data, or your sort of country or language specific data. And then let me come back to you and tell you if I think it works or not. Sometimes we find that, like with classical, genre is not the most powerful tag, because if you already know your whole catalog is classical, there's not a huge ton of value, but maybe key and BPM is more interesting. With some others, it may well be that they love the genres, that's working really well in Thailand. It may be that they are not that keen on our mood tags, but so they just want to take vocal, instrumental, and genre. And, we obviously, you can take all of our tags, but you can also pick and choose. So usually that would be my recommendation. And of course, as a company, not only will I only sell someone something if I think it fits their use case at the time, but we are also always increasing and improving on those. So I think currently we're able to tag 18 moods, but we are about to increase that to about 40. So that's the latest classifier that's getting released in a couple of months. So it's a little bit ever changing as well. We're always trying to improve what we have and make it work for the most people possible.
Love that. This is a very universal crowd here, so I'm really glad to hear that those thought processes are happening. And thank you, Michael, for that question. I didn't say who asked that question. Let's see, what else do we have here? So, this is a pretty simple one, probably. You talked a bit about it, but you can probably dive in a bit more. It's just, how do clients tend to use your data? We talked about radio a bit, but what are some other ways that people find this data useful for their day-to-day lives?
I mean, obviously we sell directly to other music industry companies, and I feel like almost every client I have has a unique case for why they're buying data from us. So, one of my sort of favorite clients that we've been working with for a long time, a company called Beatstars in the US. And so Beatstars are a two-sided marketplace. It's where Lil Nas X bought the beat for Old Town Road. And they use our data because they get over 20,000 songs uploaded every day. But the users don't tend to add any data. So they don't say what key it's in. They don't say whether a vocal exists. They don't say what genre they're writing in. They often just say something like Chance type beat or Drake type beat, and that's as much as you get, which when you're searching in that high volume can be a real challenge. So they use our data to basically improve their search algorithm, and they bring it on board that way. There's almost we do have a kind of a case study section on our page. I think I'm just going to have a little look. I feel like we have as many different use cases. So as I say, Beatstars, I love what they're doing. We also have Hypnosis as a client who are using it predominantly for sync. So the idea that someone might come to them and be like, hey, we're looking for a new song for a Netflix show, like, do you guys have anything like this? Or do you guys have anything that you would recommend with this type of sound? And so, basically a search dashboard that allows someone to instantly search 60,000 songs in 2 seconds to make a recommendation. And as I say, the client that we have in Thailand is using our tags to generate playlists on their newly launched streaming service. So lots of different uses there.
Great. All right, here is another one. Is the AI able to recognize the same samples used across multiple songs? Many producers might splice and together like sample packs and things like that. Is it able to recognize that and identify it?
So technically, yes. But this isn't something that we've really productized because we don't get asked for it that often. And so usually, and I think I even saw a question earlier about identifying language. And again, the answer is yes, but not with the kind of accuracy that we're interested in. So if we can't get something to be over 90% accurate, we don't consider it a particularly valuable classifier, although it may well be that it's 70 or 80% accurate, and that might work for some clients, but not across the board. So we're always trying to ask, first of all, how accurate can we get it? How difficult is it? But then secondly, Is it something worth paying for? And with the kind of recognizing a sample, so essentially it's not exactly the same as our technology, but it's a sort of a blend of, the Shazam ability to identify the same thing exactly, and then change some of the parameters and then be able to spot it in multiple songs. But then there's also a really cool company called Who Sampled, which is also available as an API, and they already have all that data. So again, for us to be able to recognize one sample across everything, we would either have to have every song in the world fingerprinted, or you want us to recognize one sample from another set that you also have. It starts to become a point where it's not cost effective for any one particular client, because using AI is not always the best way. If that data already exists somewhere else, a bit like the lyrics, there's probably a cheaper and easier way to get it. So yes, technically it is possible, but it's not super scalable at the minute.
Yep, that makes perfect sense. Who Sample is a really cool website as well. And
yeah,
you will be blown away by how many things are in there you did not know were sampled, I promise. Great. Stella asked, actually, I have to say that question was asked by Adam. I love that question. It's a great question, Adam. And then Stella, she asks, what's the role of humans in this? Do people actually double check the results, or like who's actually doing that? Like what type of roles happen at your company when people are doing that, basically?
Yeah, I absolutely love that question. Great question, Stella. So one of my favorite things about Musiio, and one of the things that I think has led to our success versus other companies in this space, is we put equal weight on the importance of our AI developers and what we call our music team. So quite often AI developers are brilliant, as is my co-founder, but he's not a music guy. But then we got a lot of great music people, but they're not developers. So then being able to work together to make sure that the data goes into training is accurate, and then the data that comes back out, we build a robust way to be able to test whether it's accurate. So we've built a lot of those processes in-house. And I have a great American woman called Olivia, who's our head of music, and her whole team are the ones that work directly with the AI team to check the outcome and the accuracy of all of our products. So yeah, that's a fun job. That was my job before we grew too big.
Great. What a cool job, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, very cool. Let's see what else is in here. So when fingerprinting songs, do you associate certain artists together at all, or is everything done exclusively through analyzing the audio?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. All we would do is we just fingerprint the audio. Of course, if we have, the actual artist's name and title, then there's simple things you can do, a bit like when I did the search demo and there is Bon Jovi in that catalog. Technically, I could just type Bon Jovi, and if the artist name is there, it'll all show up. That's an easier way to do it than to train an AI to identify what Bon Jovi sounds like. So again, this is that use case of if that data already exists and there's an easier way to do it, that's got to be more cost effective. So, you will see similar artists show up, when I did the search on Bon Jovi and Hypnosis, because he's got a distinctive voice and their songs are of a genre. So if you drop one in, chances are if others exist, you're going to get them too. But it's entirely based on the fingerprint. It's not pulling up based on the artist title, just purely on the fingerprint of the song.
That's great. This is a fun question, and I feel like it might be an insight into what some of the projects could potentially be. But Suraj has asked, is it possible to create a custom algorithm for continuous playlists, which is AI generated? Like, for example, saying, is it possible how you could think about taking different cultures and languages and kind of cater to an audience across the country, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I think I might be misunderstanding the question a little bit, but it sounds a little bit more like AI generated music. So the ability to take a large sample of data and ask an AI to create music based on the data that you've given it. So I didn't cover this at the beginning, but I usually define two different types of music AI. So one is generative, so the ability to create music using AI, and the other is descriptive. So Musiio is purely in the descriptive AI category. We only add metadata or add search results. We don't take the audio and turn it into something else for consumption, but there are a bunch of companies. So I think one in particular, one cool company called Boomy, Boomy, are doing generative soundscape and playlisting. And so I think you can go to their website and search like, study playlist, and it will just start playing. But I don't think it has an endpoint. I think it just keeps going. So I think that sounds a little bit like what you're describing. But yeah, it's not the game we play in at Musiio.
Oh, great. Great. So this one's an interesting question from Andrea. Does the accuracy of the results depend on how popular the artist is? And I'll follow up that question with her. So I think what she's really trying to understand is, how does the algorithm actually work? Is it based on lots of inputs that sound similar? Or how, when you said, for example, it's not worth your time if it's not up to 90% accurate, what are situations where it might not be 90% accurate? What's happened there? What's wrong there potentially?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, it's our tagging product, for example, the first product that I demo is not based on popularity. So if you have an audio file on your desktop that you recorded, you could have recorded it in your bedroom, you could have recorded it on an iPhone. We'll still try and guess whether it's got a vocal, we'll try and tell you the key, we'll try and tell you the moods, the genre, like none of that is related to whether you're a top 40 artist. You could record it in the next 30 seconds and upload it. That would be okay. We would still tag it. It might come back as low recording quality though, if you only use an iPhone. But that's not a judgment on your talent. What we do have, another product that we have that's more experimental and something we've only started doing in the last sort of quarter is we have started what we call a hit potential AI. So what we did was we took 100,000 songs from the last decade and we trained an AI to say, this is what success looks like, as in this is what songs that chart look like, and identify the features. And we're talking about 1,500 features per track, ones that we don't even have words to describe. And we're now able to generate scores when we show it something new. And actually, we have an article on the Musiio blog. I'm going to see if I can just find the link and share it with you guys, because we have done a lot of research on, here we go, here's the article I was looking for, how to discover the next hit using artificial intelligence. So if I just drop this in the chat, everyone can take a look at this. Is the kind of data that we're generating and that we're able to pull. And so what you can see there, if anyone's looking at the article, is we've built graphs around the average hit potential score of a song in Spotify's top 200 and a list of songs that are completely uncurated. And obviously there are songs in the uncurated list that have really high scores. There are songs that have lower scores that are in the top 200, but you can definitely see a bell curve that the average song that is successful will score over 65 out of 100 with our hit potential AI. So that's kind of a really interesting area that we're exploring. That's currently not a publicly available product. So yeah, because I don't know if anyone would want to go to our website and for me to tell you whether our AI to tell you whether you think the track is any good. But theoretically, yes, if you have that volume of data, you can. So, and I also just noticed as well, someone from BMG Production Music who uses Musiio. They have our tags. So hello, hi Anthony.
Love that. And those that are watching on Hey Summit, you guys, we'll get that link dropped in over to you guys as well. So look out for that in a moment. Love this idea of a hit predictor. I will actually follow up with a question here, because I think one thing's interesting about that is how what a hit sounds like has changed over time. So for example, if you're a pop, a track in there, and let's say you theoretically looked at tracks that were hit in the 80s, what chances are that those will probably look very different, for example?
Absolutely. And yeah, to be honest, our AI for hit potential is currently trained entirely on recency. So as I say, data from the last 10 years, which when you say like 1980, I'm like, oh yeah, that's within the last 10 years. But actually, I'm nearly 40 and I was born in the 80s. So that isn't true at all. That's a long time ago. So anything that is hip hop or sort of lo-fi pop, which is what's popular right now, Latin music, will score higher than, say, something that is classical music. And that's because there isn't a ton of classical that's in the charts in the last 10 years. So one thing that we've already found is using our genre tag, if we pre-filter the audio by genre and then we score it in each individual genre. So it may well be that the best classical track has a 40 score out of 100 and the lowest has 20. Well, that still tells you the top and the bottom. But in hip hop, the top's going to have a 98 score and the bottom's going to have like a 60. And that's just purely because that's the genre. So you also need to retrain it on an ongoing basis. So we're adding a lot of these other features, adding the ability to automatically split it by genre, the ability to kind of backdate it so it's got further than a decade ago, and also updating it every 3 months so it's got more currency as well. So that's the other thing about AI, and it's kind of encompassed. It's you need to keep training. It's not a one and done.
Yes, I think that's something that's lost on people quite frequently when they talk about automation, is that someone has to make the automation and then update the automation.
So true.
Oh, great. I think we have about 5 minutes left, so time for just a couple more questions. This is a fun one that takes me back to my childhood. When you said you were born in the 80s, I was not born in the 80s, but still, I was like, how many people were not born in the 80s in this room is probably quite a lot.
Yeah, I'm old. I should have mentioned that first.
Yeah. No, I'm a veteran. Well, so this question's fun. Speaking of things that are a bit older now, how does the Musiio taxonomy compare to Pandora's music genome project?
Great question. Because I also, for anyone who doesn't know, I used to work at Pandora. So, I was I was part of the marketing team. I remember telling people about the Human Genome Project. It was every song graded on 350 points of musical DNA, everything from each vocal to each instrument. And so what Pandora have is probably the best hand-curated, hand-detailed list of annotated songs, which is essentially a data set, and they've done it all by hand. What makes Musiio a little bit different is we don't have a huge amount of hand tag data, but what we're doing is we're generating what we call 1,500 points, but they don't all have like a hand annotation, but you're training the AI to recognize patterns. So, what I wouldn't give to get my hands on, that Pandora data, I could build something incredibly accurate and fascinating, and I'm sure they're doing it in-house already. But there is a lot of similarity, and I sort of think Musiio is just the culmination of my experience working in the music industry. I started at Shazam like 15 years ago. I also used to work in a record store at HMV. That was like my first job after uni. And I've worked for Pandora and Universal Music, and I saw the same challenges and problems coming up again and again in terms of playlisting and managing the data that is music. So I've been inspired by a lot of the places I've worked.
I love that. I think let's do one more, and then we're going to have to end this wonderful session. A question from Adam. What approach would you take to identify when a new music subgenre or vibe is gaining enough traction and streaming information to be properly classified?
Yeah, so this is something we've thought about as well, as we think to, next time we update our genres and we go from, version 3 of our genre classifier to version 4, which will be later this year. How do we decide what to add? How do we know what the new sounds are? Will it be, something like hyperpop, which could be really popular, but could also have just kind of disappeared by then? And so there's a couple of ways. We work really closely with our clients who, if they, Beatstars, for example, have got a couple of really granular hip hop genres that they would love us to be able to identify. And of course, a great partner like that who's doing thousands of songs a day, of course, we want to know what's coming through. So it can be a two-way relationship. If those clients want to suggest genres to me, that's a valuable way that I get that data. And then you can also look out for our users tagging data in a specific way that we can see. We see, say, I know there's a lot of exciting stuff coming out of the Middle East at the minute. So what tags are they using? What user generated tags are they adding? And do we see enough of a trend with any of our partners to be able to say, yeah, we should turn this into a fully fledged genre as part of our platform? And then, of course, with a deeper integration where we are, say we were tagging everything that was getting uploaded to a streaming service, theoretically, you could just use the fingerprints to identify a similarity, a pattern, without even needing a word for what that pattern is. But that would have to be done, as I say, we're a tech company, we have the tech, we don't own the tracks or the licensing. So that would be done in partnership with somebody else. But great question.
Yes, I love that question. All right, fantastic. So still lots more questions coming in. I think people are really, really excited about this.
I love it.
For our participants, you guys are going to get access to the API from Musiio for the weekend, so you'll be able to play around with this as much as you want over the weekend as well. A mentor, Vignesh, is going to be around a bit to help you guys try out the platform and answer some questions. And I think with that, we are done. Hazel, thank you so much for your time. Everybody else, we are going to take a second to transition to the next speaker. So hold on tight, and thank you so much, Hazel. See you in a bit.
Thanks, everyone. Had a great time.